Alrighty, joining me today on Inner Strength Check for the home of all things hobbies, risks, and mental health is drummer Ferdi Handojo of Perth-based metal band Vanta. Ferdi, how are you, mate?
Good man. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak about our new album. And yeah, it's a pleasure and honor to be on your podcast.
Cheers, man. Cheers. How's things been going with the Vanta camp with the release of the new album coming up with Side that hits
Man,
in 2 days?
yeah, well, we're a little bit nervous but excited at the same time.
Okay.
But then again, as everybody says, if it makes you scared, nervous, and excited, you should do it. So that's
Yeah,
why we
definitely.
did Vanta.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it's just got to do with how much we've grown over the years, the past years putting this together, and like from when we started with the Grade Mine EP. So I think there's a lot of tension, a lot of like evolving, whether
Mm,
it's like with like our relationship all together as a team. I think Perpetual Selection is a reflection of all that hard work and all those like back and forths, and I would say um, just the kind of iron sharpens iron sort of vibe is
mm.
kind of reflected in the sound and the journey that the viewers and listeners will hear when they push play from start to finish.
Mm. Do you guys feel that because it is a pretty technical, it is like it definitely sounds rooted in Melodeath, but there's a strong like technical influence. Is that something you guys were pushing for a bit more on this record?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Like all of us pretty much share similar influences and things like that. I very much love my like tech death. Like I think yeah, Tien and Jesse as well. They once we saw Arcspire together in what year was that? 2023? 2023, yeah. Yeah, just after we released like Gravemind and everything, and I've always loved like bands like Abysmal Dawn, like the old school Bay Area thrash tech death. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Jesse and I love Necrophagus as well. Like
yeah. Nice.
you can hear some of those riffs just a little more modernized and like roided up in this record. So I think we want to kind of go a bit more ballistic for Perpetual Selection, but at the same time also honoring like everybody's like childhood influences as well at the same
Mm.
time. Like a good example is like Jesse when he came into the band, he brought in more of those like modern nuances on board because he grew up listening to like porn, new metal, and
Mm.
he loved the Lorna Shore, like from like Flesh Coffin to like Immortal. Those
Mm.
were the two albums he actually got me into. So yeah, the Lorna sort of vibe really grew on me rapidly as well, and also Lorna Shore being like a technical deathcore band. I just
Mm.
and like Bastinati's work, man, he's just insane. So like, I look up to that guy. On top of that, like three of us leading up to writing Perpetual Selection, we've heavily been listening to like a lot of Shadow of Intense, like Reclaimer to like
Mm.
Melancholy, and currently Imperium Delirium is like on top of our playlist at the moment. So you start to kind of hear more of that like modern American death metal come inside, more on
Mm.
top of the, like original Euro melodeath sort of sound that you kind of pick up on the first EP that we released, Gravemind. So yeah, it was sort of like let's kick it up a notch, but kind of go out of our box a little bit because yeah, at the same time, you don't want to be playing the same things over and over again. You kind of want to try different things, and
Yeah.
when three of us aren't gatekeepers or anything, we love a bit of everything and just kind of let's see where it all kind of like works together.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good to have that sort of a mix, like even a lot of those classic 2000s death metal bands like Anata
Mm,
and Necrophages and stuff like that. It's like fantastic, but you also probably wouldn't listen to it, kind of all the time either.
yeah,
It's good to have that kind of broad selection. What about for yourself as a drummer? Do you have any specific drummers or bands that really influence this record, or just you playing in general with Fanta, or?
yeah, man. Like some people will know this, but I grew up on a lot of gospel chops. Like I was Bible
Right.
bash growing up, and my only way to keep playing drums, like
Yeah, yeah.
get into the soul, the R&B stuff. I love that stuff. So like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
and
got
that's
to
what
take
you're
the
going to
good
learn
out
the
of the bad.
pocket, right?
Yeah, And yeah, I hang around like lots of musicians as well, and like
Mm.
yeah, a lot of some of my mentors are like jazz influence as well. So like you get some of that sway and syncopation vibe, but particularly for this record, man, I was heavily influenced by like Bryce Butler from Shadow of Intent. Like he's a
Mm.
great drummer, man, and like
Mm.
I kind of resonate with his style because he's got that kind of like soul kind of vibe on top
Yeah.
of his like technical deathcore death metal playing, and then this Austin Archie man like really tapped into him for this record with like the bomb blasting and like the doubles and just the different sort of switch ups as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think top three influences of my drumming would be like Tony Royster, he's a gospel player, Bryce Butler, and Austin from Lorna and actually two of the Spencers. One Spence from Invery, but now also the Spence in Oxford, but also the Spence in the original Spencer Pruitt, you know. Um,
Taking a bit of a pattern there.
and to be specific, man, like I think you heard the last song on the record, like Purity.
Mm.
That's pretty much our like take on an Arcspire song. Like it's a fusion of like Bleed, The Future, and Involuntary Doppelganger. So
Mm.
yeah, a lot of upskilling on this album, but a lot of fun at the same time while doing so.
Awesome. Awesome. So do you feel like everyone in the band's kind of like stepped up in terms of like musical prowess for this record, in terms of the
Oh,
writing?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and we're very close to each other. We're no BS with each other. So like the basis of our relationship is pretty much just gaslighting and pushing each other, you know. But that's when you know you got a good
Hey,
relationship with
spade is
boys. So
spade, mate. Spade is spade. And
and like
yeah.
Jesse being like the audio producer in house because we do everything DIY as well, down from the art to
Oh,
the
nice.
promo,
Even the art,
yeah,
nice.
everything. Like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of their thing. Chen looks after the finances, cash flow, and everything. Jesse's like
Mm.
audio and ops daddy, so like he knows the logistics behind everything if we're going touring or putting a show. And then I'm the most extroverted, so I go out there and just kind of run my mouth and like wait us a bit.
What, a
Um,
drummer running their mouth? I never. And you just leave the bass player in the car until it's done.
oh well, the we don't have a bass player yet, to be honest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like, well, we just backtrack the bass. So we play with IEMs live and stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
between Jesse and Tien, they write all the bass parts, and then yeah, we've got like an audio like thing set up. So like from like the play button from the start of our show to the end, it's all programmed, and we just follow that in our ears.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, you never know. Maybe in the future, we'll definitely get to that point in the future where like, yeah, we'll get the fifth member on. But for now, it kind of works, you know, just
Yeah.
the three of us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what's your sort of take on how you guys are fitting in with the Perth scene at the moment? So like Perth has a lot of I know that Perth has a lot of stuff like depravity, vestigial, ripped and like a lot of more extreme stuff. I'm kind of only really sort of more aware of what's happening on the more extreme end of the Perth scene. How's it looking? How's the Perth metal scene in general looking these days?
Dude, I think it's grown drastically. Hey, it's gone a
Mm,
long way, and like being the isolated city we are, like even compared to 5 years ago, and even like 10 years ago, you can kind of see there's been like a good progression in the scene. It used to be very cliquey. It used to be very like gatekeepy and stuff.
yeah.
Like I don't know why. It's like this is why we don't have nice things. So
Yeah, yeah.
rather than like complain about it or like bitch about it, we just kind of let's try to do something about it. At least we can say we try to all else fails. But dude, to answer your question, like so far so good. The reception, like we totally honor the old school influences and like you said, the
Mm,
extreme scene in Perth and what you've heard, it's very much on that old school sort of vibe, right? It's on that fence
yeah,
on the old, but then sort of going to Monterey
yeah,
territory. For us as Vanta as a band, we kind of wanted to kind of push it more in a modern direction, you know,
yeah,
still honoring those roots. Like a lot of our old school influences, like come from like your bare neck or badges, and you know, like all time, like mellow death out the gates, which is very apparent on the first EP,
Yeah.
and some of the riffs as well, like at the gate sort of vibes come in, and more in Principium S in there, but like more refined and kind of like push towards the American modern death sort of territory.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, man, like I think Perth has gotten into a good place where it is now, and like we have no issues like putting on shows with different sub genres and extreme sub genres. Like people are just happy to play and come together and have a good time, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's so far so good, and we like how it's going now, and yeah, and it's a good way to just discover each other's music and appreciate different types of talent. Because like at the end of the day, like that band may not be able to do what we're doing, and the other band may not be as good as what that other band can do. And it's just like nice to see different artists and creators come together, you know, and just
Yeah.
yeah, put Perth back on the map together. And I got a shout out to Brendan and Andrew at Ethnography and Stu McGill from Songwriter. Like they've been doing that. They've been like keeping the Perth scene going for a very long time. Those guys, and also like Darren and Wade from Western Force Metal. When you know,
Mm.
it's good to see those like OG crew who kind of started it all in Perth. And on top of that, like Dysie. I mean, Dicey's like up there now, but like he still kind of looks after the local stuff here and there where he can, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Living legend he is.
Yeah, he is.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it's good to see like more and more like the younger generation rise up and kind of
Mm.
like keep the heartbeat going.
Yeah, that's good. Have you noticed it's been about as easy or maybe more difficult or like for those newer bands? Like what have you seen them sort of struggling more to get a foothold, or it's pretty because the scene's pretty healthy and alive at the
Yeah,
moment, it's
I
not as
think
hard or
yeah, definitely a lot more open now, and a lot
yeah.
of more. I can see younger bands getting like opportunities on the more premium tier side of things quicker
Mm.
now, and especially us because like I started in the scene like way back in 20 2012 or something. My very first
Mm.
band was Tempest Rising, actually. I was the original drummer for Tempest Rising. So I started
Mm.
off in the sort of pocket. And I was like 18, 19 at the time, super young lad. So like seeing back then it was very like, oh, that's not metal. Oh, that's not
Yeah.
thrash. Like, you know, there was that sort of shit going on. I was
Yeah.
like, man, it was like we're just having trying to have a good time playing music, you know, like what do people have to judge, you know? Like I get it, there are certain shows which are very specifically like should be that subgenre, but yeah, it was a bit like that back then, man, where it's just like people were very clicky, very picky. But
Mm.
now I think it's the years go by and more new musicians come up and evolve everything. It's great to see that things are yeah, better, and people aren't afraid to try different things, and you know, come on board with us and just like experiment and put different styles together. Like I think there's a resurgence in like metalcore and black metal mix sort of subgenres now. There's more like
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of more contemporary but still heavy, you know. And
Mm.
yeah, at the end of the day we kind of just want to put heavy and heavy together and just have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even like things like the new Silosis record has a lot of different, groove shifts and
Yeah, it's very hard. It's a very hardcore influence album, hey?
yeah,
And like,
yeah, yeah.
and I think it's because Josh went to the architect side. Hey,
Yeah,
let's start over.
absolutely. Yeah, he did his sabbatical, but I guess I think that it's just for me. I feel like this is leading into my next question, although I may answer it by making my statement because I often do that. But that's just how I roll. Um, like a lot, I noticed a lot of bands are, as you said, they're being less afraid to play around with influences between camps where it might have been a little bit more clicky, a little bit more exclusive musically, like for
Mm.
instance, there's a lot of like blackened emo and stuff like that, and you would have thought people who want to stick blackened something into emo this like that
Yeah,
really, not much of a mash. And even the styles that you guys have incorporated, because I listened to the new album and there's a lot of like I'm getting a lot of like in theory, but also mixed with like a lot of Sepultura kind of groove um
yeah,
elements. And it's just funny to think it wasn't that long ago. maybe it was. I'm not sure what's changed it. Maybe it was lockdown or whatnot. But I don't know if you've noticed. Do you feel like as a band there is less of that, like people being like, "Oh, this is not 100%
Yeah.
blast. It's not for me, thank you." I feel like there's less of that these days in general.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
mm,
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely less of that, as I said. And I think, yeah, you're right. I think it might have been because of COVID too. You had no choice but to lock yourself in and entertain yourself with
yeah,
like some a good thing about I think blessing in disguise, despite how much it sucked being locked down, like that's how Vanta started. We were just mates, we were just sharing each other's files at the time and just putting
yeah,
on like layers and layers of our own like musicality on top of each other's files and just sending it back and forth. And then when lockdown properly ended in 2023, we just went hard and went to town with everything. And just been rapidly evolving ever since then. Um, but yeah, man, it's good to see like people come together, have a good time, and yeah, like you mentioned, there's weird mixes and things. There's one particular band actually from WA called Agamar. You should check them out. They're like metalcore, but they have like ambient blackness to their kind of vibe, and they wear corpse paint as well on stage. But very interesting.
interesting.
But man, they
Cool.
pull like I saw them recently, and they had a massive crowd like on the start. So it's like yeah, it's good people just want to enjoy something new, something different.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So you guys have a launch coming up too, by that way. On the note of shows, I've forgotten the name of the place.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
Milk Bar in
Milk
Inglewood.
Bars one. Yeah,
Yeah, 27th of March. Yeah, and that's hosted by Handojo.
phonography. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool. And you've got a few other bands on that bill as well. What about other shows? You guys got any shows lined up for the near future or
Yeah, we've got this thing that we put on annually. It's called Heavies and Bevies Festival. It's
nice?
hosted by Other Side Brewing Co. in WA. They've been
Mm,
really good with us. They've been on board with our journey for the last 2 years, and yeah, it started off as a minor sponsorship, but every year they've been contributing and like helping us kick it up a notch every year. So I think Pibbies and Baby started in 2024 and we ran it on our own and like for the first time I think we hit like up in the hundreds, like up to the mid hundreds there. So that was like really surprising. It's like, damn, we're doing something right here. And also like we took a shot at the dark and didn't put like one subgenre on. We just blended the bill, man, the lineup, and it worked really well. And then second year, then last year, 2025, we asked the brewery for like a sponsorship. They gave us giveaways. They helped us cross promote. That nearly hit 200 people as well, like for a local show. So that was like insane.
mm,
Yeah, and this year we're bringing in I Choose Violence from South Australia. They were on the Froth
nice.
and Fury lineup as well, and they're good mates of ours. Also, Discussed as well from Queensland. Awesome lads. They'll be headlining that show as well, and we'll be on it as well. Three Shallows on that one as well, and we've got one more to announce. By Agamar, the band that I told you about just earlier.
Mm,
Yeah, they'll be opening for that show as well. Good guys.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
And that's
Are they- yeah.
same place, Milk Bar, 13th of June.
So you guys have got a run of shows. Like you guys are kind of like you mentioned that you had you'd come out basically swinging at the end of lockdowns more towards 2023, and now you've got an album coming out in 2 days and a whole bunch of shows. So it's like things are really kicking off for you guys.
Yeah, man. And to any promoters like listening to this, um, we don't have anything lined up for the rest of the year after this, so if you want to have a chat with us, feel free.
Hear that,
um,
Dysie?
we're all, yeah,
Because you're
we'd love
definitely
to do
listening.
we'd love to do the whole leg of Australia, man. Like we're willing to
Yeah,
go out, have fun, play our hearts out, and share our art with everybody else, and meet new artists and creators as well at the same time.
awesome. Hell yeah, man. Well, that's great. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast tonight. If you guys like very early mid era Black Dahlia Murder meets Shadow of Intent meets early mid The Haunted is roughly where I would put you guys with a nice garnish of an arch spire on the top, of course, naturally.
Thanks. That's an
With a
honor.
little
Means
little about half a tablespoon of
Yeah.
spawn possession. Yeah. So if you like melodic death metal with like a super tacky edge, check out the blog. So we're gonna have the couple of most recent new clips up there. By the way, before we go too, I was interested to ask, mate, the clip for the first single for Kuyang, um,
Hmm.
that actually had was that shot locally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually shot in Jarrahdale, and Albany as well, down south here from Perth. It's about like how far is that? Like a pretty long. It's like a 3 hour drive or something. It's where
Right.
Jesse's from. It's like his hometown, and he knows our creative director, our videographer guy, like Elliot, and they kind of grew up together. So then
Mm,
it wasn't hard to kind of get that going, and they already knew people down there with private property and like a big land that we could shoot on. And I knew some people up in down in Jarrahdale as well, here in Perth, just outside of Perth. So yeah, it all worked out. Like shooting went well and went smoothly and stuff. So yeah, we just wanted to do something different. Because a lot of music videos, man, and especially coming out from WA, it's just a bunch of dudes playing, like just some people playing. Like we want to kind of bring that cinematic edge from our
yeah.
lyrics into, um, yeah, the visual aspect of things.
Yeah, which is cool. It's cool as well. And I believe you've got a bit of a like cultural connection too with the lyrics on that one.
Yeah, so that pays a nod to my Indonesian heritage. So
Mm,
both my parents are from Indonesia. Actually, I was actually born in Jakarta and then
mm,
moved over to Australia in '97 when I was about 4, and like pretty much lived here ever since then. But I thought like, well, when I wrote Kuyang actually, I was listening to a lot of Vault of Horrors. Aborted just brought out their like Vault of Horrors album. Also, Shadow of
mm,
Intent
mm.
was freaking great, grid bringer. But that whole album was just a reference of like horror and sci-fi, like pop
Yeah,
culture reference. I thought,
yeah.
fuck it, let's do something like that with this song. And I thought, why not bring in some of like Indonesian folklore into it about like this demonic spirit. So the Kuyang is equivalent to like a Western vampire, I would say. A bit more
Mm,
gnarly. Um, it's a mix between a banshee and a wraith. Crossover between a vampire. So long story short, the deal is in order there's some villages in like East Java and like northern Sulawesi and like parts of Sumatra. There's some villages there when you some of the elders have like scars around their necks and stuff like that.
yeah,
And legend has it is if you see like more elderly people with the scars around their neck, it means they've already sold their soul to the devil. And because they practice a lot of voodoo and black magic in those regions,
mm,
legend has it that like at night, what happened is their heads would rip off from their torso. They'd become this like demonic entity, and their spine and their lungs and entrails would dangle from their body and just float around the dark, float around the forest, hunting like firstborns and children and things like that. And their intestines just become like blood sucking devices and soul draining devices. It's pretty cool. I was like, let's bring
that
a
is
bit of
so
that.
fucking that is so metal.
Yeah,
No wonder you picked that as inspiration. Man, Sanskrit and Indonesian folklore is literally it's like gore grind, you know, it's just
it is,
full of
man.
just
It's
nasty
brutal, man.
stuff.
Um, but yeah, in saying that, I think we'll be doing more of that sort of kind of vibe going forward. Well, just apart from the nerdy stuff we love, like from games and Resident Evil, like Transum Side, as you've heard and seen the lyrics, it's pretty much about the T
Yeah,
virus, but at
yeah.
the same time, because the core concept of the album, like as you may have heard, is about the darkness about existence and humanity and like collapse and rebirth of society. We want to kind of like portray each darkness or like theme or conflict against a character or give it some world of its own or connect it to some sort of like pop culture reference.
Yeah, and it's almost anthological as well. Is that something you guys are planning on doing in the future, or you think you're going to kind of center more on that mythology theme, or you're not sure?
A bit of both, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
I think what Ollie from Arcspire did recently with the new Arcspire stuff coming out and like having like a comic book sketch thing. It's sort of like our goals, and I myself as an artist, I love to draw a lot. Like a lot of the stuff you see from Vanta, the artwork, it's mostly done by me, and it's a lot of scrutineering from the boys as well. At the same time, when I draw this stuff, I want to make sure everybody loves it and can
Mm.
kind of sport it and call it home at the end of the day. So yeah, I get bashed a lot. I get bashed a lot by the crew for a good reason. We gaslight the crap out of each other. It's fun.
Do
But
you
yeah,
find
man. To answer your question, I think at some point when we get a bit more established, we'll be doing like little books and series and
oh, that's
anthologies, and
awesome.
probably do more like gnarly videos and stuff. But in the meantime, with Perpetual Selection, even though like visually on the actual album when you get it, there's a lot of like monsters inside it and whatnot. I think like video clip wise, I mean we don't have the budget to do like crazy horror stuff, but
Yeah.
what we've kind of made it symbolic, more
Mhm.
metaphorical, and connect like society's collapse and whatever is unfolding before around us to kind of connect it to those themes and stories. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, you guys can convey it through the power of music, and it sounds like you
Mm,
guys are going to have quite an interesting anthology of things to speak about now and in the future. So I'm looking forward
mm.
to hearing the public response to the album, man. Like I've had a listen and it's solid. So I definitely recommend that folks out there give it a listen. It's coming out, dropping on March the 13th. And we're gonna have links for album pre-order and the upcoming shows and everything like that out
Mhm.
soon. But before we go, if there isn't anything else, Ferdy, any other questions or comments or
No, like I said, man, like thanks again, and yeah, it's an honor and pleasure, man, to speak to you and talk to you about this album. And speaking of pre-orders, they are available now, bantermetalofficial.com on our website. Yeah, smash it. Yeah, if you
oh
buy it
man's
now,
done
like
the
if you're from Perth, you can pick it up at our album launch.
there you go. Man can do a side hustle for music PR. He's got the call to action already there to go. Well, good stuff, mate. It was a pleasure talking to you, man, and look forward to seeing you guys over this way in Vic sometime, yeah?
Yeah, let's hope, man. Would love to catch up with you, get a beer or something. Yeah, have
Yeah.
a good shows. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, you take it easy, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, Brady. Take care,
See you,
buddy.
mate.
See ya.
See ya.